So today we're going to shoot some video as up close and detailed as we can on top working trees. I'll use cleft graft, and I'm going to be grafting Maha Chinook on a very established tree, converting it to Maha, and also on a seedling tree. So this is a multiple graft situation, and the seedling tree is one graft will do it. So let's get started on putting a graft on this tree. So this is just a little Scion, because that's all that I could get from this particular plant. So try to figure out in advance where it's going to lay on the plant, the host plant, and what side will be flat. This looks like it's a flatter side. This little bump here is going to be a problem with, if it were laying against a flat cut. So I think I can work with this side. First thing I'm going to do, though, is you see this was cut at an angle, so I'll flatten or make a cut that's sort of more of a normal cut. I'll cut off this bump here, and then use this other bump will remain. So just so it helps to get a good cut if you start with this part of the blade, and as you're pulling it, it ends up with the top part, like draw it across. Okay, so it's looking fairly flat there. It's a little bit of a wave, and I'm going to try and get that little tiny bit of the bump out. Harder to work with the shorter Scions. Usually don't have that much trouble making it flat. This side is going to have a little bit of a scoop to it. Start by making the cut at the bottom to make sure that it stays in alignment with the other cut that we made. That looks fairly close, and we can make that a little bit longer. Okay, so you can sort of imagine that this point is 1 cell thick. I don't think I can get it any thinner than that. And so, because the Scion was so short, I didn't wrap it first, but I will wrap it now and put it on the tree. Okay, now we're going to wrap the Scion. It's so small that I didn't do it before making my cut on this. I'll just stretch that, stretch over, because then it stays in place that way. And this will be the inside side of this, and we'll go for this is nice flexible stage of this shoot, and so it should work out fine. And then this side has a little more of a curve, so that will be to the outside. So I need to make a little cut here. Okay, so that's nice and flat against this inside part and of course the outside part. So I'll use the rest of this buddy tape to hold it in place and also to protect the graft from moisture loss. Use an elastic to make sure that contact is good. You don't want to pull these elastics too tightly on green wood because the green wood is softer. You just want to pull it tight enough to make that contact solid. And then I just pull the elastic through. Loop that I made with 2 fingers there, and then cut off the end in case I use that for another graft. So here's a very detailed video on grafting. First, of course, wrapping the graft wood or Scion with buddy tape. Okay, then just cut the wedge here. I'm using a cleft graft. So make sure that this is nice and flat. Sometimes there's a little wave to it. And I like to make sure that the other side is lined up, so I'll make a few cuts to make sure that this part is the same thickness all the way across. I'm starting with the side closest to me of the razor blade and then pulling it across. So I want to get this as narrow as possible. So you can see this is what you might imagine as 1 cell thick here. And perfectly flat cut here. Slight curve on this side, that's fine. We will use that on the outside part of the graft, and this will be closer to the middle of the plant. So we're ready to put it onto the plant now. So here's our Scion all ready to go. We just need to put this out of the way. Just make a cut here. Let's see how that fits in. you want to make sure there's no air right in here. There's no, and that looks like a nice contact all the way through. Use a second piece of buddy tape just to make sure that all of these areas are sealed up. Don't want to lose too much moisture. You can, now that it's all sealed, you can use several layers of buddy tape as extra strength to hold that together, but the real strength comes from an elastic. So start at the bottom always, and you just put a little tail, leave a little tail of the elastic to wrap over so it doesn't unravel on you. Okay, so we've gotten to the top of where the cleft ends there, so we don't need to go up any further. And so just get the elastic, I wrap it around 2 fingers, hold it in between the 2 fingers, and then pull it through like that. So that won't unravel on its own. And because I'm rather thrifty with products that I use, I will get another graft secured with this part of the elastic. So I just cut that off. So this is now done. All we need to do is wait on it to see when this starts showing some growth, and of course make sure that new sprouts don't form, especially below the graft union on this plant. So there we go. And oh, one more thing I need to do, and it's sometimes I get distracted and I don't do this, but it's very convenient later to have it marked. So this is Maha Chinook. So today we did 2 Maha Chinook grafts on trees that were in the grove. This one was just a seedling that we planted in the end of mango season 2016, and it was ready to be grafted to some known variety. And the other one was a variety that we planted many years ago and wanted to switch it to Maha Chinook. So I hope that you found this video helpful. We wanted to do a very detailed video of grafting, showing up close shots of not only the grafting of the Scion, but also placing it on the tree. So thanks for watching. Good luck with your grafting.